In a shadow garden meeting attended by the 6 founding partners, miscellaneous members, and with the absent Delta engaged elsewhere, Beta updates the assembly on ongoing affairs, saying Shadow's intervention at the Bushin Festival has temporarily halted the cult of Diablo's ancillary sects and the Fenrir sex reconstruction, giving Shadow Garden more flexibility in Oriana Kingdom operations. Despite an increase in monetary resources for Lawless City, a notorious slum, Zeta and Ida warn against complacency. Shadow cautions that the Red Moon is an omen of bloodshed and announces his decision to investigate as Beta passionately adds to the chronicles of Master Shadow, focusing on the revival of the Blood Queen before he praises their improvisational skills. Meanwhile, Goldie and Quentin, former Bushin Festival competitors, venture into Lawless City, gazing at the ominous Crimson Tower, the Blood Queen's domain. The White Devil, a ruthless criminal reduced to one arm, introduces himself as Elizabeth's loyal watchdog. Recognizing the White Devil, Goldie and Quentin prepare for battle. The next day, Claire, now famous after winning the Bushin Festival, heads to the Dark Knight Association with her brother Sid. She's assigned to hunt vampires in Lawless City, hoping it will secure Sid a position in Midgar's Night Order. Sid, haggling with a merchant who's selling new pets, reunites with Goldie and Quentin, so Claire purchases one pet, a black-haired boy. As Sid explores the city, a magical wave from the Red Moon transforms a beaten ghoul, creating a chain reaction of ghouls attacking humans. A mysterious red-haired girl, Mary, appears as a vampire hunter and saves Sid, warning him of being out of time and in a frenzy before leaving, after which her departure leaves a pile of corpses and a tear on his face. Concerned, Claire searches for Sid, but finds the hotel room vacant. In Lawless City, students Skell and Poe hope to lose their virginity but encounter ghouls. Shadow saves an employee, Marie, and recites Mary's lines to others. Claire, with Mary, plans to storm the Crimson Tower as ghouls overrun Lawless City, overwhelming the Dark Knight Association. On the Crimson Tower, Lord Crimson learns preparations are nearly complete, dismissing resistance from rulers Juggernaut and Yukheim, while as Juggernaut and Yukheim engage in combat, a mysterious figure, Shadow, appears, announcing his intent to hunt shadows. The White Demon, a notorious serial killer, haunts the populace with indiscriminate killings, claiming it as the purpose of his life. Venturing into Lawless City, he faces defeat against Crimson, becoming a watchdog for the Crimson Tower. During his guard duty, the Red Moon triggers a ghoul frenzy, creating chaos and transforming people. Unable to move far, the White Demon looks for unsuspecting victims. Juggernaut, the Tyrant, Yukheim, the Spirit Fox, and a mysterious man in black approaches the tower before Juggernaut breaks the artifact gate, entering with Yukheim and the Man in Black, while the White Demon attacks the Man in Black, only to be swiftly defeated. Mary and Claire ascend the Crimson Tower, battling vampires together as she shares vampire knowledge, but arouses Claire's suspicions before a surge of energy leads them to Juggernaut fighting vampires. Attempting to escape, they're intercepted by Juggernaut, who wounds Claire and Mary as Mary, in desperation, awakens Claire's dormant vampiric abilities, enabling her to hold off Juggernaut before Shadow intervenes, kicking Juggernaut off the tower. Mary then reveals the vampire history to Claire, explaining Elizabeth's tragic past and Crimson's plan to resurrect her. More than 1,000 years ago, vampires thrived, but their decline began when humans discovered their vulnerabilities. Elizabeth, their ruler, chose coexistence, but Crimson secretly fed her blood, causing frenzy and a massacre. Pursued by Mary, Elizabeth pleaded for her ashes to be scattered, but Crimson, intending to resurrect her during the next blood moon, escaped with her body. Claire shares her own history with possession, expressing her fear of transforming into a monster, and that her primary goal is to assist her brother before succumbing. Mary and Claire resolve to locate the Blood Queen together. In the tower's treasury, Sid considers looting treasures for financing his shadow activities. Opting for gold coins, he fills his suit with 1,000 gold coins before confronting the Blood Queen. Atop the tower, Crimson begins the resurrection ritual, and as he positions Elizabeth's heart, Shadow abruptly arrives, interrupting the ritual, and Elizabeth proves less strong than expected, succumbing to his power. Sid, the shadow broker, arrives to find his intended audience dead, observing a bisected vampire and a decapitated black-haired man while searching for the elusive Blood Queen. Determined, he explores contingencies, starting with checking the tower's basement for the dormant potentate. Claire and Mary reach the tower's summit, calling for their targets before a red tendril fatally pierces Claire's chest. And despite Mary's warning, the Blood Queen emerges, choosing Claire as her first meal. The ancient vampire slayer collapses, only to be saved by the arrival of a shadow garden cell led by Beta, who swiftly beheads the Blood Queen, securing Claire with assistance from 664, 666, and 665. Concerned about Claire's condition, Beta contemplates the effectiveness of emergency first aid, but retreat is dismissed as an option. Shadow, absent from the scene, leaves Beta to face the awakened queen. Determined to protect her master's sister, Beta directs the cell to cover her assault, and despite effective tactics, Mary warns of the Blood Queen's slow arousal. As magical energy bursts, Beta questions if the queen's magic surpasses Alpha's. Yukaim arrives, judging the fight beyond her capabilities, but Juggernaut joins, creating a new crater in the wall. The Blood Queen retaliates with intensified force, injuring allies with blood projectiles, as Beta acknowledges being outmatched, ordering 666 to retreat with Claire. Despite 666's intention to fight, Beta reminds her of future ambitions. The situation worsens with merging tumors on cured possessed, causing symptoms regression for Beta and the numbers, while Claire deteriorates rapidly. Claire awakens on a medical cot, encountering a purple-haired woman named Violet Eyes, who explains that someone cured Claire's possession. Violet Eyes discusses the theory of evolution and how traits separated by blood can reunite, using Claire's body as an example. Claire gains a mark on her hand to assist in managing the situation before Violet Eyes finally reveals her name as Aurora, expressing her motivation to help due to Shadow. Reality shatters, revealing the Crimson Tower again, and Aurora, now in control of Claire's body, fights the Blood Queen. Aurora attempts atomic magic, causing explosions, but the strain on Claire's body is evident as Shadow intervenes, glowing in the red moon's light. Defending everyone with a composed defense, Shadow initiates an offensive against the Blood Queen. A burst of magical energy signals the start, and Shadow, revealing himself as Recovery Atomic, heals ghouls, wounds, and Elizabeth's unconscious mind. Returning to the Midgar Kingdom, Sid reflects on the one thing not cured by Recovery Atomic, Claire's delusions. Despite this, he stands by her, salvaging Zenny from the lawless city. While boarding a train in his Shadow persona later, Sid confronts Yukaim, who followed him from the lawless city. In a daring raid, a gang of bandits ambushes a valuable Mitsugoshi Company cargo trade, targeting precious goods worth a staggering 100 million zenny. The bandits, hired by Garter, the president of the major corporate alliance Maka, express concerns about Mitsugoshi's exceptional profitability and rapid expansion. A Mitsugoshi employee questions the credibility of such actions by Garter, known for his contributions to the church. The bandit warns about hidden parts of individuals, but the Mitsugoshi employee, named Alpha, calmly acknowledges the bandit's testimony's value. Suddenly, Shadow Garden, a group of women in black led by Alpha, reveals their presence, overpowering the bandits before Alpha reports to Nu, another member, that their assault has weakened the Maka's strength considerably. Sid reflects on Alpha and her team using his knowledge to expand their market share and decides to reclaim what belongs to him, transforming into John Smith, a super elite secret agent. Meeting with Yukaim, he learns about the ongoing conflict between Mitsugoshi and the Maka and their intention to seize everything after collapsing both entities. Yukaim warns about Getten the Sword Devil, the secret leader of the Maka. The next day, during a massive sale by mecha-affiliated merchants, Sid notices Mitsugoshi making enemies add plans to establish a new corporation with the capital he acquires, offering positions to Alpha and the girls. While paying for purchases, Sid notices a new mecha-issued band note and discovers differences from Mitsugoshi's band note as Skell and Poe, confused by his actions, pursue him. Sid meets Yukaim, sharing his findings about the band notes, as she suggests a plan to create counterfeit notes, intentionally letting them be discovered to cause a credit crisis. Later, Sid encounters Delta, who invites him to hunt bandits. He agrees after she fulfills her duties to Alpha. Meanwhile, Garter briefs Getten on Mitsugoshi's activities, highlighting the strength of their private soldiers as Getten deploys the Clovers, an elite assassination squad, to address the situation. Shadow and Delta join forces to hunt bandits, but Delta mercilessly kills her brother Zabra. Garter reports Zabra's defeat to Getten, who dismisses suggestions of a retreat and emphasizes intensifying their offensive against Mitsugoshi. At Mitsugoshi's headquarters, Gamma briefs Alpha on the company's status. Despite thwarting attacks on transport vehicles, Mitsugoshi remains economically powerful, making it so the major corporate alliance has ambitious plans but lacks the means to implement them. Gamma predicts their self-destruction without Shadow wisdom, so Alpha reminds her to keep the connection between Shadow Garden and Mitsugoshi confidential. Mu interrupts to announce guests, and Alpha instructs proper decorum. Gamma offers to host, but Alpha insists Mu welcome them as some uninvited guests criticize Mitsugoshi's security. Their leader confronts manager Luna, prompting Omega and Kai to engage too, leaving Leaf 1 for Gamma, who doubts her, but she proves resilient, criticizing his approach and identifies his fencing school, using her magic-infused sword. Gamma acknowledges Leaf 1's skill and unleashes her secret strategy, jam a lot of magical energy into it and hack away, as collateral damage ensues before she stumbles over a walk's slats, creating a hole in Mitsugoshi's wall. Recovering, Gamma thanks Leaf 1 for the challenge, but Alpha, Kai, and Omega arrive. With Leaf 1's companions defeated, he attempts to get away through the hole, but Gamma pursues him before tripping again, after which her sword accidentally pierces Leaf 1, resulting in an explosion. Garter reports the failed raid to the lycanthrope warrior Getten. They lost contact with Clovers, and Getten orders the president to silence dissenters. Getten reflects on giving the Clovers titles and considers the children of the cult of Diablos. Despite setbacks, he sees them as a means to demonstrate his strength. Meanwhile, Alexia spars with Sid, expressing dissatisfaction with her progress and desires more power to prevent feeling like a spectator in a changing world. Later, John Smith discusses counterfeit band notes with Yukaim and identifies differences before agreeing to her terms. Yukaim explains the operation, and John Smith points out the discrepancies in the band notes. Shadow Garden discovers counterfeit money circulating in Mitsugoshi. Gamma informs Alpha, who orders her to bring it to major corporate alliances' attention, potentially causing a credit crisis. Garter reports this to Getten, who realizes the premature circulation could harm the cult of Diablo's interests. In Lawless City, as 664, 665, and 666 infiltrate a train carrying contraband, while John Smith, controlling wires, restrains 664 and 665 and throws them out, leaving 666 frustrated with her perceived weakness. Mitsugoshi Company headquarters receives a report from 664 about their number's defeat by a mysterious opponent, John Smith. Alpha and Gamma discuss his origin, speculating on Lawless City residents before 666 interrupts, revealing John Smith's strength, leading to a chaotic exit. Gamma updates Alpha on Zeta's mission, hoping for success. Concerned about the cult's resistance, Alpha decides to send Delta after John Smith. On a train leaving Lawless City, John Smith encounters Delta, who attacks him. Their battle reveals John Smith as Sid, and Delta, recognizing her master, playfully accepts his revelation. Sid explains his secret mission and forbids Delta from reporting back to Alpha. He gives her a special mission, directing her to Black Tower to hunt Juggernaut. The next day, Gamma reports Delta missing, and Alpha fears the worst, so she orders a search, while the market faces a counterfeit bill crisis. Alpha believes John Smith planned the credit collapse, undermining both Mitsugoshi and Maka. Garter updates Getten, who orders inspections at the royal capital's exits, causing public outrage. Iris finds Alexia studying in the castle and learns about her sister's determination to wield her sword meaningfully, while Beta discusses the counterfeit crisis in Sid's dorm. At the checkpoint, Maka struggles to enforce orders against John Smith. The checkpoint is destroyed, and Alpha confronts John Smith on the train before a battle begins, revealing John Smith as Sid. Alpha questions his actions, and John Smith, evasive, claims he sent Delta on a mission before Alpha activates her powers, and Sid restrains her. At an abandoned mine, Yukaim shows John Smith their gold reserves and reveals her plan to cause a credit crisis. Sid, using Beta's report, agrees with the plan. Leaving the storehouse, Yukaim shares her past with Getten and her ultimate goal to bring him down. Sid, somewhat distracted, wishes her success. In the lawless city, Delta howls, signaling her mission's success. Counterfeiting major corporate alliance banknotes has eroded public trust, causing difficulties in payments and gold exchanges. Mitsugoshi Company's notaries remain legal, but trust wanes. Shadow Garden faces challenges, witnessing lines forming outside Mitsugoshi's main bank, and morale drops as Alpha, isolated after learning John Smith is Shadow, curls into a ball, lamenting a perceived betrayal. Outside Maka Bank, men exchange gold, escalating distrust. Yukaim watches the chaos, savoring the outcome as Getten demands answers from Garter. Learning Yukaim is the mastermind behind the counterfeits, while the situation at Mitsugoshi worsens. Gamma updates Alpha about Maka insolvency, bank riots, and gold demands. The economic crisis deepens, with only days left before gold reserves deplete. Alpha dismisses plans to calm the public, believing Shadow caused the crisis. New reports cult involvement, and Alpha has an epiphany about Shadow's motives. Beta decrypts Shadow's message, revealing his betrayal, but Alpha rejoices, realizing it was a strategic move as John Smith intensifies efforts against the counterfeit operation. Yukaim's attendants report losing contact with her, and Sid contemplates the operation's conclusion, considering Shadow Broker scenarios. Natsu and Kana inform Sid about Yukaim's disappearance, and he perceives Getten as the perpetrator while riots escalate in the royal capital as Maka collapses. Iris Midgar and the Crimson Order raid the Maka vault, finding it empty. Yukaim thanks her savior, recognizing him as the boy from her past, while Sid continues searching for gold, realizing it's missing. Mitsugoshi stabilizes with the newfound funds, restoring public trust, and Delta pesters Sid to fulfill her desires. Skell and Poe visit Sid's dorm to invite him to Mitsugoshi HQ, but find him missing. Instead, they discover 6 premium tickets for Mitsugoshi Hot Springs Land. Using their logic, they decide to boost their chances with the ladies using the tickets. At Mitsugoshi, they show Nu the tickets and invite her. Nu, exhausted by their antics, takes them to Mitsugoshi offices for interrogation by employees polishing weapons. She questions how they got the tickets, meant for a select few, and Skell and Poe claim Sid gave them. Nu, aware of Sid as Shadow, calls a meeting with the 7 Shadows. Confirming Sid's presence at the hot spring, she leaves angrily. In the meeting, Alpha discusses Sid's cryptic message, suspecting it's a plan to encourage them to unwind, and Eder recounts the origin of Mitsugoshi Hot Springs Land, linked to a tale about the dragon's golden tears. Debating who attends, they decide through rock, paper, scissors, after which Beta, Zeta, and Delta are chosen. At Mitsugoshi, the trio encounters Skell and Poe, expecting Sid. Undeterred, Skell and Poe continue their date using advice from a Love Tips book. Meanwhile, Alpha speculates on Shadow's mission, considering it a break from their usual activities. Epsilon asks Chi and Omega about troubles, but only Nu's paid leave is mentioned. Ida reports an anomalous magical signature underground, while in the female's only bath, Zeta contemplates the mission, and Lambda narrates a shadow play of the dragon's tears legend. The legend suggests a connection between the princess's tears and the hot spring. Skell and Poe attempt to observe discreetly, but are thwarted by Ida. Their tears falling into the hot spring triggers a magical surge. Zeta hypothesizes connecting the legend to Beta's tears, so Ida goads Beta into tears, causing a seismic tremor. In the public area, Alpha's group witnesses the hot spring forming a dragon. Beta is taken captive, but the shadows defeat the dragon, and a golden magic cascades, infusing the hot spring with enchanting properties, so Gamma and Mitsugoshi staff stage the event for the opening, selling merchandise. New, initially on a day off, works the venue while Skell and Poe, oblivious to the events, head home, cheering about becoming men as the day ends. Sid finds himself in an Oriana Kingdom tavern, as Marie apologizes for the drink selection due to war efforts. The urban warfare has left the town in ruins, creating an unfortunate time for them both. Ignoring Marie's concerns, Sid reflects on his past actions, contemplating the direction of his eminence in Shadow Dream. He questions whether he should continue his straightforward approach or if things can truly go on like this. Marie, thinking Sid is responding to their conversation, agrees, resolving not to give in to the situation. Meanwhile, Rose remains in her lodgings, haunted by vivid hallucinations of killing her father. A knock on the door interrupts her thoughts, signaling their departure for a mission. As they depart, 664 informs the team that 559 will be the operation commander, as 559, a distinguished Shadow Garden member, has the right to challenge the named numbers due to a previous victory over 89. At the rendezvous, 559 explains the mission details, saying Perv's faction besieged a small castle town, and the cult of Diablo sent their strongest troops, the named children, to conquer it. He explains that their objective is to discover the cult's intentions before pulling 666's attention away from dead soldiers, revealing that Rose's inclusion was a special request. As they observe the enemy, they discover Kuodoi the Gale, the cult leader, and a large assembly of first children. Kuodoi uses a key card, similar to those in Sanctuary's laboratories, to unlock a sealed artifact. Shockingly, 666 recognizes her mother, Queen Rihanna Oriana, before 559 identifies the relic as the key and shifts the mission from reconnaissance to assault. In Midgar's capital, Gamma orders New to deploy troops and leave Rose to the cult, suspecting Mordred as the puppet master. Back at the tavern, Sid witnesses 3 soldiers exploiting Marie. Seizing the opportunity, Sid unleashes his abilities and eliminates the soldiers before Marie, facing financial struggles, contemplates resorting to selling her body. However, a mysterious benefactor, believed to be Shadow, leaves her a bag of gold coins, saving her from despair. 559 engages the cult forces, displaying exceptional strength, after which Kuodoi plans to torture her, but a mysterious figure intervenes, empowering 559 with renewed strength. This figure is revealed to be Shadow, and 559 expresses her admiration for him. As the team reports to Shadow, 559 kneels to report 666's supposed betrayal, while 664 and 665 defend her. Shadow, uninterested in their squabbles, receives a newspaper article about Rose's marriage, triggering his explosive reaction as he vows to pursue Rose and prevent her from marrying. Lambda, Kai, and Omega discuss Rose's betrayal, with Lambda feeling guilty about training 666. Kai and Omega inform Lambda that Shadow will handle it, leaving her in anticipation. Shadow, contemplating how to stop Rose and Perv's marriage, encounters Epsilon in the palace due to her fame as a pianist. They banter about Epsilon's slime abilities and run into Sir Perv Asshat, while Sid plans to convince Rose not to marry Asshat. Noticing Epsilon's slime control, he discreetly steals jewelry with his slime during a piano performance. Asshat approaches Sid, but Chiron intervenes, after which Sid subtly steals a special ring from Asshat, symbolizing marriage and hidden power. With Epsilon, Sid reveals stolen jewelry, excuses himself to explore, and encounters Margaret, Rose's maid, who seems to be impressed by him and attempts to assist him in achieving fame and wealth. In the evening, Asshat confronts Rose about a blackmail plot involving her mother's life. Overhearing this, Sid discovers the special ring's connection to a powerful weapon, the Black Rose, as Epsilon discusses 666 with 559. Meanwhile, Asshat reports plans to Mordred involving gaining the Black Rose for increased influence before his internal thoughts are interrupted by an aloof, half-naked Queen Riene. After Zeta was dispatched by Alpha to retrieve a specific artifact from the cult of Diablos, and she faced a setback in the mission, as the sought-after item was moved to a new location before a surprise attack from a cult member left Zeta wounded. As Sid sips tea, Margaret returns, expressing concern about a persistent castle guard who was relieved of duty after an incident, as Margaret accuses Sid's teacher of taking advantage before Shiren intervenes, leading to a comical piano lesson in Sid's trousers. Shadow misunderstands the Black Rose as a literal flower, while Epsilon assumes he knows its true origin, after which he orders Epsilon to show him the real Black Rose, emphasizing the need to address the Queen Riene situation first. Perv Asshat and Queen Riene discuss their evil plans, oblivious to Sid's observation from the window as he witnesses their intimate exchange, revealing manipulation of King Oriana. Rose, shocked by the revelation, calls for Sid, who plays Moonlight Sonata outside her room, setting the stage for Rose's emotional revelation. Rose, overwhelmed by her past actions and the shocking scene witnessed, throws up and seeks solace in memories with Sid as he explains his metaphorical dream, but Rose interprets it as a romantic gesture. In Shadow's monologue, he urges Rose to accept the truth, leading to a dramatic moment with a stolen ring symbolizing her rebellion. Sid and Epsilon discuss their plans in the bath, with Sid metaphorically conveying his intent to assist Rose as he reveals the rebellion's starting point in 3 days at the wedding. Perv Asshat's plans crumble as Rose exposes his manipulation, and the ceremony faces chaos as Rose dons the ring, symbolizing her love for Sid, but King Jirk Oriana supports Rose, discrediting Perv, after which the cult turns on Perv, leading to his demise, so Mordred commands destruction with the Black Rose, but Shadow intervenes, revealing his eminence and witnessing the true power of the Black Rose. Upon Shadow's unexpected arrival, Mordred doubts their chances against him as Shadow introduces Shadow Garden, and magical creatures emerge from the Black Rose portal, setting the team on a mission to defeat them. Shadow instructs Rose to continue her quest, while he faces Ragnarok, the dragon. Meanwhile, Beta and Epsilon confront Mordred, taunting him to reveal information. Mordred, displaying typical arrogance, brandishes his invisible sword, but Beta and Epsilon, armed with stolen artifacts, engage in a battle, blindsiding Mordred. Meanwhile, despite his belief in Ragnarok as a trump card, Mordred starts revealing intricate details about the world's dimensions, realms, and mysterious singular points. He delves into the phenomena of worlds crashing into each other, creating a new intermingled dimension, and raises questions about the origin of humans, pondering if they came from the current world or a different realm before Ragnarok's body disintegrates, and Shadow, grinning, slashes the remains. Shadow Garden reports their success, and Mordred, in denial, consumes a part of Ragnarok's limb. Evolving into a new form, Mordred faces Shadow in battle. In space, Shadow delivers a monologue about humans seeking god-like power, culminating in his signature move, "I'm atomic," after which a bright purple light engulfs the night, and as the cheering Shadow Garden witnesses his victory, a black hole appears, sucking in the air. Intrigued, Shadow touches it and gets pulled in. Akane defends her people from the cult, and a brainwashed individual starts choking her before Shadow arrives just in time, revealing himself, saying he's the one who hunts shadows. This time, Shadow defeats the brainwashed bandit swiftly, after which Akane calls his name.